Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves a track by an act named Doc Fetzer titled Back to the Place. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen right here. So we're going to listen through it from start to finish and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go, what do we got? It's psychedelic off the bat, isn't it? I mean, it's great to... I mean, it's just great to have the lead guitars here, the drums. I promise I won't interrupt too much, but it's just a fantastic way to start with that vocal line and then the drum chops, man.
I love you, girl, much more than I could say, and my love is true. Now I please you to say I've done a mistake.
I mean, it's just such a great vocal technique as well. Those vibratos are charming. I like the lady backing vocals on the side because he's saying, you know, darling, please, I made a mistake, please forgive me. So it's nice to have, you know, the lady responding to that. Just the chonkiness of the rhythm guitars, the bass and drums alongside it. It's anthemic, man.
To the place where we started, back to the place, back to the place where we started from, when we started it all.
Great place for an instrumental break. Really saucy solo there.
Together we spend our time on every day. Despotism and hate, so far away. It's strange how love, the power and it's true.
I'm sort of undecided about like how busy we are with the kicks. Like the 16th note grooves that we have on them are great. I'm liking the swing to them. There's just quite a bit though. I'm two minds about it.
Shows us evermore. Back to the place where we started. Back to the place.
Yep. Easy to follow along to hook line. I like the entrance of that solo guitar. Wondering if it's a little bit dominant in the mix, but that's okay. Yeah. Wonderful. Great job adding another bar.
Back to the place where we started. Back to the place.
Bomb. It's that bomb, bomb, bomb. That's just a fun little transition back into the hook. The second half. I think that it's clever. It's unexpected. I think there's a bit of chromaticism in there. It's dope.
Back to the place where we started from. And we started it all.
Great transition into this.
And if one day the sadness come back, You never give up. You're able to turn it right. Let's try it again. We belong together, baby. Let's start it again. Start it again. Back to the place where we started. Back to the place.
Boom, boom, boom.
Back to the place where we started from. When we started it. Back to the place where we started. Back to the place. Back to the place where we started from. And we started it all.
Yeah, I mean, it's good use of the form factor, to be honest. I'm grooving along to it.
We started it
I think it was just that initial entrance of the lead guitar, and after that second hook, which was a little bit too loud in the mix, it just kind of poked out a little bit, but everything else has been really good. Great unison there between the vocals and the leads. And the harmonies at the end are glorious. Yeah, that's a really fantastic track. I've got a lot of positive things to say about it, and I guess I'll be talking about them in the conclusion. And this is my conclusion. Welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track by Doc Fetzer, titled Back to the Place. What do I think this track is about? I think this track is about someone who has been with another for a while and they're saying, look, I know that I made some mistakes. There have been some hiccups, some issues along the road. But I think that what we need to do is go back to where it all started, where we, to a place where we realize why we fell in love with each other, why we liked each other, etc. And we need to go back to there and try and rebuild again. That's my understanding of the track. I think it's something that a lot of people will be able to relate to, and some may even benefit from hearing, especially those that struggle to forgive. That's basically what I think the track is about. The vocals alongside that story, I think the lyrics were really heartfelt and genuine, and it was interesting to listen to, but also the vocals sounded like they really meant every word behind it. Doc's voice, it was tremendous. I love the technique that was shown there, the awareness of how to do the whole head and chest voice. The vibratos were wonderful. There was some really interesting melodic phrasings of different lines there. The hook line was consistently just on point with how it gets stuck in your head like an earworm. But also Doc knew to sort of step back, I think, and not have him be the focal point of the entire experience all the time. There were lots of little guitar solos, etc. Basically it was either Doc or the guitar as the main focal point. And I'm glad that we went through that between those two, especially in a 5-minute 35 track, as that is quite a long song by if I compare it to a lot of the music I review nowadays, it's quite long. Not bad that it's long, it's just quite long. And a sweet spot for length of tracks nowadays is about 2 to 4 minutes, but we made good use of the real estate within this track. But I just think that the vocal technique was great. We crafted some really sort of engaging, catchy hook lines there. The harmonies were fantastic with the lady vocals in the upper range. And I think the verse parts, as well as the interlude that we had at the 3:30 mark, where I was like, we need something to change here, and it did, which was awesome. We had different sort of laid back in there, a change in texture, the energy went down. Doc's vocals matched that well, and I thought it was really great to listen to and really interesting. So good stuff. I think in addition to that, what we have here is a situation where the story at 5 minutes 30, the song is well thought out and well sequenced. I've got no real complaints about the vast majority of it. I think that the guitars were nice and cheery sounding with the arpeggios that we had there, as well as the power chords and the chorus. I understand there were some minor triads in there to add a bit of sadness to it to mirror some of the conflict that was going on in the verse sections, but to then sort of twist that for a major, almost like a parallel on the hook, was great. It was a kind of a juxtaposition between the good and bad, and eventually trying to work towards a point where we found peace and agreement and equilibrium again. So I think that the chord choices, the chord progressions made sense. The lead guitar parts were spectacular. I love the articulation, the note choices there with those scale shapes and those directions we went with it, great understanding of like guitar technique, like hammer-ons, pull-offs, like bends, slides, vibrato, etc. Like we had a lot of stuff on show here without overplaying. We played a lot of notes, but they never felt like they were just a filler or as if they were superfluous. It was great to have thought put in how to make the guitar sing, as well as how to make it stand out on its own two legs. And I think that we played the guitar tremendously well here, and it was well voiced. And I like the further sort of intensity and technicality in the last solo section. I think that little lead bit between the first chorus and the second verse wasn't the right time to show off too much, and we knew to sort of have some restraint there, which was great. The bass guitars there and throughout the track were well done. I think they were supportive of the chord progressions and the main sort of direction the song was in. They were a nice ground bed for everything else. There might have been a bit of exploration of the fretboard, but basically they just kind of like controlled things and handled stuff really well down there. The drums. Yeah, I think the drums were pretty good. I'm happy with the grooves that we had in here. I don't think there was anything technically incorrect about them, obviously. It didn't sound like there was a note out of place. It's more like, I wish there'd been more sort of focus on toms, because like there was a lot of focus on the kicks, especially some of those bridge sections where we almost had some sort of triplet 16th parts going on. And it's a shame, because I think that you could have transferred those extra hits onto other drums of the kit to make it sound more interesting, especially with transitions going on into the chorus progressions or something like that. Because there's stuff where I knew we were trying to build dynamically, we're trying to build it up to the chorus, but we didn't have the tom fills that were just such a staple of this kind of music. And I understand you don't really necessarily need to have tom fills in order to make drum beat good, and I know a lot of songs nowadays revolve around the cymbals, the kick and the snare. Just my 2 cents, you know. If you're gonna have such wonderful rock elements here, have some drum fills, you know, to kind of like mirror that and have that kind of stylistic synergy across all the instruments in the arrangement. Aside from that, though, the grooves were great. I think that everything kind of like slotted well into each other. You know, aside from the slight kind of like iffiness with the kicks, in my personal opinion. I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just saying I didn't necessarily agree with the busyness of it. I think that the theme overall, there was a sense of uncertainty in the verses with how the chord progressions and the vocals kind of worked around that. And then in the hook line, we were more sort of supportive, warm and caring and loving. So I think that we kind of told a story that made sense with the lyrics and the vocal style and the motif that we had there from the guitars, the bass and drums, especially including the alternating lead melodies there as a focal point. Everything was very well connected. We used the use of real estate was fantastic. You know, we didn't have any filler in there, and ultimately I just think it was really well structured, and I don't have any massive complaints about it. I think it's really good. I mean, finally the recording, mixing and mastering was great. I do like the tone of it. There was some interesting panning decisions going on with some of those guitar and vocal parts, and I know why we did it, and it was fine. There was one point I think where like things were typically very well leveled in the mix. Like I was happy with how the drums and the bass and the rhythm guitar set. The vocals sounded pretty good where they were as well, I think. And I liked how the backing vocals were panned to the sides as per the double-tracked rhythm guitars. There was a lead solo that started after the second chorus, and I'm just wondering if it came in a bit too hot. If we couldn't have dropped it like 0.5 dB, just a little bit down, just to let it kind of swim in the mix a bit more, because it seemed very present. They've mixed this song well, so I don't have any doubts about their ability. That was a conscious decision they made, I think, to have it at that level. And it does kick in. It does grab your attention, so that's fine. It doesn't need to be a perfect sterile mix. But you know what I mean? It just kind of, maybe we needed a little bit sort of more reverb on it or something like that. Maybe like another 5% on the mix or like the wet stuff. But aside from that, it's really cool. Everything else was pretty well balanced. There were no weird resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum. It was nice and wide in the stereo field. And the vocals were processed really well. Great sort of filtering, EQ, and compression there without any effects on the chains, which is good because they could clearly sing. You know, there was dynamic range to it, as per the interlude in the third and final third of it. Yeah, that was great. And things came down a little bit. Energy level shifted to it as well. That was wonderful. And then finally, you know, we just have the loudness, limiting compression. It was nice and loud with that pumping. And I mean, effectively, this is my review of Doc Fetzer's track, Back to the Place. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias and a Spotify page. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.